This one is for all you lost souls, all you sinners racing down that endless highway. Ask yourself this: can you change as a human being, or are you stuck in a loop for all eternity, always trying your best to become a better person only to fail and go back to your old habits and ruin it all?
The Silent Hill trilogy is one of the best video game franchises of all time, combining nerve-wracking psychological terror and deep and emotional storytelling about flawed characters that enter a world of darkness and despair. While new developers since the release of the trilogy have tried their best to capture the spirit of the originals, I think the general consensus is that nobody has really ever managed to get the games right, let alone any spin-offs or movies that were released over the last years. In 2005, there was an attempt to make a Silent Hill movie written by Roger Avery and directed by Christoph Gans that, while visually pretty neat, was story-wise pretty off. And yes, compared to other video game adaptations, the movie is good, but it's still not great, in my opinion. Then there was the sequel, Silent Hill Revelation, and oh boy, that one is just terrible. Like, there's no way that anybody out there likes this trash unironically. Now, before I continue, I want to let you guys in on one secret. Are you ready for it? Here it comes. I adore horror anthologies, and I've been writing a horror anthology book for over 2 years now. In general, I just adore films like Trick or Treat, Creepshow, and The Twilight Zone. Southbound is a really unknown movie that came out in 2015 that is basically also that. A horror anthology dealing with different characters, all set on a highway road in the desert in America. I saw the trailer and thought, well, this looks neat. I might as well check it out since it's kind of right up my alley, and was surprised because this was the closest I have ever been to watching a good Silent Hill movie. So, what is Southbound all about? The film is divided into 5 different stories with 4 different directors, all working on the segments. While this might seem like a risky thing to do, the film actually perfectly blends together, and if I hadn't known that it was made by so many people, I probably would have thought that it was made by one person. Let's quickly talk about the plot without spoiling too much. The first segment, which is called The Way Out, is about 2 guys, Mitch and Jack, that are driving on the highway covered in blood and trying to escape mysterious floating creatures. In desperation, the pair stops at a rundown gas station only to realize that they are even in more trouble than they can imagine. Siren is the following story, dealing with a girl band called the White Tights, consisting of 3 girls, formerly 4. Cough cough, whose van's tire goes flat in the middle of the desert. They get picked up by a friendly but a little eccentric couple who drive them to their home, and what seems like altruism at first soon turns into a dark nightmare. The accident is probably the goriest and most disturbing segment in the movie. Lucas is talking to his girlfriend on the phone while driving through the night on a lonely highway, when suddenly he crashes into a person. He calls 911 and gets help by an unknown EMT who guides him into a nearby hospital to save the life of the person he just hit, who is seriously injured. I'm just going to stop here because anything else is a spoiler, but wow, this one is just hard to watch. It is genius in its simplicity, but the movie is worth your watch for this story alone. Jailbreak. Okay, this one is just fascinating because it's very weird. So while at first I wasn't a big fan, I can't help myself and rewatch this one over and over again. Danny bursts into a bar called The Trap, which, you guessed it, is in the middle of nowhere, and points a shotgun at the people inside, demanding to know where his missing sister is. As it turns out, this bar is filled with creatures, demons, I guess. I'm not sure. And he shoots off one of the creature's arms and takes the barkeeper as a hostage to find his sister. Again, I will stop here so I don't spoil anything, but I think the segment really gave me the most Silent Hill vibe out of all of them. The Way In bookends the movie with a home invasion storyline involving a family of three, Jem and her parents Kate and Daryl, who spend a weekend at their vacation home. Since Jem is going to college soon and Kate and Daryl will probably not see her in a while, the family is about to have dinner when all of a sudden three masked men break into the house and demand an eye for an eye. To me, Southbound is probably my personal favorite horror film. It's not perfect, some of the acting is okay at best, the CGI is fine for its low budget, but it's not great of course, and the characters and scenarios are not always fully explored. But it's just everything that I love in pop culture. Flawed people living their worst nightmare, trapped in a seemingly endless loop of bad decisions and past mistakes, haunting them, while also being faced by the loneliness and emptiness of their surroundings. Oh, and great music of course, composed by The Gifted. If you are a fan of 70s style synthie horror music, give this one a go. It sounds fantastic. Silent Hill, at least to me, was always about an empty town filled with nightmares, despair, and the manifestation of your inner workings, your damaged soul, or your troubled past as a physical entity that you have to face. Whether or not you actually manage to face the demon inside is up to you, but the physical nature of a town that also inhabits your biggest nightmares is what makes Southbound so reminiscent of Silent Hill to me. Yes, the overall tone and aesthetic of Southbound is very different to Silent Hill, but the core element of being trapped in a place that you cannot explain, a place of inner turmoil, the loneliness and emptiness of a forgotten world, and characters seeking an understanding of themselves and why they feel tormented, feel very much like Silent Hill. Southbound also exceeds in one thing, and that is telling stories and vignettes that leave you wanting more. It only gives you a quick flash into a plot and a scenario, purposefully leaving out a lot of the information and just giving you kind of a quick thrill, while your head is filling in a lot of the gaps, which in a lot of ways also reminds me of Silent Hill. What makes the Silent Hill series so great, to me at least, is the fact that you are operating in a town that gives you a lot of clues to what's going on, but lets you, as the player, put the pieces together. I feel the same way about Southbound. There are so many details in the presentation and storytelling that while the execution of these ideas could be better, it just gives me the same vibes like old school Silent Hill does. To finish this video, I want to say, if you have not seen Southbound, please do so. You will be granted with an underrated gem, a Silent Hill-esque anthology with a score that sounds like John Carpenter and 90 minutes pure horror joy.
Now this one is for all you lost souls, all you sinners racing down that endless highway. Ask yourself this: did you change as a human being, or are you stuck in a YouTube video trying your best not to become a subscriber, but you can't resist? Just give in, my friend. Give in and enter a world of pulpy and artsy pop culture.
Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you liked it. If you did, be sure to leave a like, subscribe to this channel, and hit the notification bell if you want to see more videos. Until next time, stay pulpy and stay artsy. See ya!